Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and a new edition of our online interview series. We want to talk now for the first time to Dr. Jaab Verbaas, the CEO and Director of Miata Metals. Let's get an introduction to the company. Welcome, Jaab. How are you?
Thanks, Jochen. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, perfect. All fine, all good. And I must say, very interesting company you have. And honestly, I really don't know a lot about Suriname, but you will tell us in a second here. The company, what is it all about? Give us a short insight into it, a short overview, please.
Sure. So Miata Metals is an explorer gold exploration company listed on the CSE in Canada, the Canadian Securities Exchange. We listed the company about a year and a half ago, I would say, and we're currently working on a transaction with 79 North, whereby we will acquire 79 North for shares and thus acquire a 70% interest in two gold projects in Suriname. Suriname is northern South America, and so we're just about getting ready to start meaningful exploration work there. We have announced a $5 million financing to help with that work. As I mentioned, there should be lots of work coming down the pipeline here for us.
Yeah. Okay, great. So how did you come in Suriname? That's not like I would say, a really famous exploration or let's say mining country in that sense. I know there are
You know what? It is
there.
a mining country. It's
Okay.
interestingly, it is a mining country with a lot of gold mining. It's a large orogenic gold province, if you will. It's set in the Guyana Shield. The Guyana Shield, together with French Guyana, used to be connected to Western Africa geologically, and so a lot of the gold endowment we see in Western Africa should be continuous over northern South America in the Guyana Shield, but it's really underexplored when you look at the amount of deposits and ounces in resources and reserves that are defined in South America. So
that's what I meant.
yeah. So it's really up and coming. The Guyana Shield is emerging as one of the world's hotspots for gold exploration, where companies can really generate good momentum and prove up discoveries very quickly towards resources. We're into early stage projects, no resources defined yet, but both projects, and I'll get into the names and locations, etc. But both projects have 100 years of artisanal mining history. So people have been mining gold at the surface for over 100 years now. Quite extensive workings, and that's really what makes this so exciting. Why are companies like ours not here yet? There's a bit of a barrier to entry in terms of getting people's trust and doing deals that are appetizing for both the people in Suriname and the Canadian exploration company, and so that's where we have an edge because I grew up in the Netherlands. I'm Dutch Canadian, or Canadian Dutch, whatever you want to call it, and so I speak the language of Suriname, which is the official language is Dutch, and that really helps, of course, with building relations and negotiating options and whatnot.
Okay, super. Yeah, let's get started with your two projects here. I saw on the deck, one is called Nassau, the other one is Sela Creek, and you said it already. You have local miners of around 30 square kilometers open pit mining activities with local miners. So, what is the relationship with them? I mean, we know it from the past. Sometimes it could be not easy. Sometimes, if you do it in the right way, it could be extremely helpful for exploration, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way we see it is that the artisanal mining is essentially it's reconnaissance work for bedrock miners, right? So the artisanal miners tend to mine down to the water table, 10, 15 meters, sometimes a little bit deeper. And so what we formalized in the option agreement is that they have the right to the surface mining down to 30 meters wherever they're mining, so that we can work side by side, and of course
Mhm.
we want to work side by side because we also want to benefit from the activity and make sure that they can benefit from us. So when it comes to heavy equipment on site, there are excavators on site that we may want to rent or hire for trenching work, for example.
Mhm.
And so there are synergies. Um, the One of the good things of this particular project at Sela Creek is that the the counterparty. So I should also mention we actually have signed a definitive agreement as well with the counterparty to earn into 100% of the concession. So it doesn't, we now have a path to 100% for Sela Creek. And so the counterparty to that option, their shareholders comprise part people from the local communities. And so that kind of connects us with everybody that's mining on the concession. So um, it's a unique situation at Sela Creek that I think will work to our advantage, where it is everybody from the local community that mines there, rather than just anyone,
Mhm.
which
Yeah,
is
that's right.
also common
But
in Suriname.
as you are owning now 100%, are you getting something like then a royalty from them because it's your gold, what they are digging out?
Uh, we are not going to be generating any revenue from royalties on the first 30 meters, wherever they're
Mhm.
currently mining. If we discover something else at surface in a completely new zone, then that's something that we would have to come to an agreement on royalty sharing or revenue
Mhm.
sharing before the mining would start. But we're not quite there. That is formalized in the option agreement as well. So again, we've really thought through how we can work side by side with the miners, rather than
Mhm.
we also don't want to be the company that just waltzes in and says, okay, now everybody has to leave, because
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
that's not. Yeah,
that would be counterproductive, I would call it. Yeah,
I would think
absolutely.
so. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, because don't make them enemies.
that's right. Yeah. Yeah, and it's
Absolutely.
for many of these people, it's their bread and butter, right? It's
Yeah, the family
uh,
lives out of that. Yeah,
so they need to be there, and
yeah, definitely.
mhm.
Yeah, I see exactly the same way. So you have now mineralization of 1 kilometer strike length. That's always also very nice, I must say. And you got some really interesting drill intercepts also. And you have 7 main targets
Yeah. So there's
identified.
seven.
So how does that help from previous owners?
So the last work that was done on the concession was in 2012, 2013, and that was we have a pretty big database of grab samples, channel samples, some drilling, only
Mhm.
1,700 meters in total. So really, for the size of the concession, right, 200 square kilometers, and the amount of
Mhm.
past activities, almost 30 square kilometers. The amount of drilling is really almost insignificant, and so I mean that's where the opportunity lies. Of course, there are 7 main pits or 7 main areas where the concession or where the artisanal miners have really uh, done a lot of work, and those are of course also areas where there have been a lot of channel samples taken, etc. We're currently going through a large data compilation to see exactly where we have the potential uh, for good zones to base a resource off in the future, and we think that potential exists. Um, so we will be showing everybody what we see as the exact targets before we start drilling here.
Mhm.
It's starting to look really good. We've just flown lidar as well. That's the last data set to be plugged into the geological model, if you will, that will refine
Mhm.
trenching and drilling targets um, to meter scale rather than, or even centimeter scale rather than tens of meters. So the geological model at this point, it hangs together really well. There are really quite a few targets to go for. The best drilling intercept is 42 meters at 1.22 grams per ton gold.
Mhm.
I'm not sure how true width or untrue width that is, but at the very least, it indicates that we're in the standard realm for orogenic gold deposits, if you will.
Yeah,
Which
absolutely. Uh-huh.
and if I should mention as well, this is not a deposit. I think it has the potential to be one someday, but we do have to think of zones of minimum widths and minimum grades in order to go for the right targets in the end.
Okay, super. So when do you think diamond drilling and RC drilling, if you wish, will then start there next year, probably?
We're trying to be ready as soon as we can here. So if our goal is to be drilling at some point in November, so we will be starting pretty soon. We were initially gunning for late October. That seems to be a bit too tight. But yes, we're starting with a diamond drill. Diamond drilling, of course, collects a lot more data than RC drilling, which only brings up chips. And with diamond drill, we get a nice full section of core that we can also measure structures from. So we will start with the diamond drill. If the ground is favorable enough for an RC drill, we may do that down the line as well. In some of these tropical regions, it works really well. In others, not so much. But yes, diamond drilling would be the start. And so we are going in with essentially 5,000 meters of drill collars that are well thought out, good targets that we can immediately drill without having to collect other data. But the goal really is to drill 15,000 meter into next year, and that's the Sela Creek concession absolutely warrants that in terms of the targets and gold endowment that we suspect there is.
Okay, super. Yeah, then let's switch shortly to the Nassau project, which I find also really interesting because you are 10 kilometers south of Newmont's Marian mine. And I think that is a really interesting location, I would call it, because if you find something significant, maybe that can help the mine.
Well, absolutely. It's much closer to Paramaribo, the capital of Suriname. It's a few hours by truck in the dry season. So great logistics, absolutely. And the concession border is about 10 kilometers from Newmont's Marian mine, which is a very it's a substantial mine in similar greenstones, and so certainly it's a great address at the very least. It has the same kind of gold history, if you will, in that it's been mined by artisanal miners. Again, we don't collect royalties or revenues. Mined for 100 years by artisanal miners, mostly alluvial, and there's a central plateau at Nassau, and so these alluvial miners mine from river gravels and sands. They're gradually moving up into that plateau and now exposing bedrock on the sides of the plateau, and so it seems like all this, the gold has been weathering from the plateau and into the alluvial system. So this has been worked in the past few years. Still drill intercepts of 338 grams a ton over 1.5 meters. So certainly very high grades, not very wide intercepts, but I think we have our work cut out for us in the sense that they're in terms of building up the geological model, the structural model, and seeing what may be on that plateau, because most of the drilling was actually done a little lower down on the edge of the river valleys.
Okay, I see. But you do not have local miners on that, right? Because it's too deep.
No, there are local miners. Local miners. Yeah.
Interesting.
Sorry. Yeah. We've met a few groups of them at this point, and so they've been fairly friendly and welcoming, and so I think for our exploration programs, it certainly we won't be at each other's hair.
Okay, so what are, let's say, drilling costs then there?
Well, Sela Creek is a little different than Nassau, of course, and so we're currently working on Sela Creek mostly. Because we have that path to 100% there, and we think the geological model is more refined, so we see more immediate upside in Sela. Drill costs there for our first drill program, we suspect our initial drilling, the initial, say, 5,000 meters would be done at about $350 Canadian per meter. That's a conservative estimate, and we hope to bring that down over time, especially once the camp is built and all these upfront costs are made. Then we suspect we can bring it down a fair bit from there still. So that would mean the initial 5,000 meters would cost us 1.75 million Canadian, roughly. And of course, there'll be some concurrent work going on there, so the cost of the entire program will be a little more. But yeah, that's the range. So it's pretty favorable drilling costs, if you will, and we'll have enough money in the bank account soon, not only to drill that initial 5,000 meters, but to immediately or to after that just keep going and build on the best targets.
Super. That sounds like a great plan, I would say. Fantastic. Yeah, then it looks like that you will have some nice news flow over the coming months, which I think we talk then again. And thanks for the first introduction of your company. And
my pleasure.
We look
One
forward.
thing I should mention on the news flow front, if you if you allow me, I mean, and this is really why I love Suriname for its current, what exploration companies can do there at this point, because there's not only the drill permits, etc. They are part of the concession in Suriname, which means you don't have to permit individual drill pads and drill collars. So once you have your concession, you can really keep building very quickly. But also there's the FEE lab, a certified lab in Suriname, which gets you results in 2 weeks' time, rather than, the Canadian standard now is 3 to 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes even 8 or 12. And so being able as geologists to get feedback from the drilling so quickly is a real bonus for not only investors in terms of news flow, but also for the knowing how to target the next drill holes and adjusting those collars quicker. That's really, Suriname is really a country where an exploration company can build momentum like that. And I think, we've done all this corporate work now with the transaction and option agreement, the acquiring 79 North. And so finally at this point where we can start working towards a big exploration program that this claim warrants. So I'm really excited for that. And I think there will be lots of news flow coming.
Super, that sounds great. Yeah, I mean, if you are excited, we hopefully are too then in the future here. And let's see what the share price is doing. I'm not yet a shareholder, but I will really check your company out. That's for sure. And thanks a lot for your time. And I would say we talk soon.
My pleasure. Thanks, Jochen.
Thank you very much. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Dr. Jaab Verbaas, the CEO and Director of Miata Metals. And you heard it, that's a new location also for us, Suriname. And there are two big miners there, ISIN and Newmont. And I must say, with Nassau, Miata Metals is very, very close neighbor of the big Newmont mine. And it looks like they had already in the some historical, very good drill holes. And now they really will start already in November with the drills. The drills are turning and they have finance for that. That's also really important. The gold prices look great. So really check out Miata Metals. Thanks for watching us and bye-bye from Switzerland.